think we're ready. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is our annual meeting, the first time in 2-3 years that it's in person. I personally am very excited because I am over Zoom. Though it does have its uses, and I probably will never stop using it entirely. Very excited to be here with all of you in person. So I'm Michelle Foss. I am current president of Green Bellevue. And today we're going to do kind of a year in review, and then we are going to start looking ahead at next year, including electing some new board members. Because we do have a couple of people who are terming out because they've been here for 11, 12 years now, I think. 13. So, and they're not leaving. 12. They're just terming off of the board. So I would like to introduce Derek Dillon. He is our planning and communications coordinator. So he helps wrangle the group that is the Green Bellevue board and keeps us organized and together, because I tend to screw up Google Drive, and that is what we use. So let's see, what's the next slide?
Welcome, Derek.
Yeah.
I managed to get it set up, so I'm proud of myself. Use more than an email. Oh.
Yes. All right, so this is our agenda. We can go to the next slide. I tend to get ahead of myself, and I'll talk about the next slide before it's on there. So some of the slides we're going to kind of skip. So this is our mission and our vision. It hasn't changed in essence, but we have done some wordsmithing over the years. Green Bellevue has been an organization for 13 years now. So just kind of keeping up with how the world is working. We did consolidate some of the words, but this is Green Bellevue. And this is a little bit more of the background of who we are. Bottom line, Green Bellevue is you. Green Bellevue is every citizen in the Omaha, Bellevue, Council Bluffs metro area and the entire world, because you can't go green as one individual person. This is a group effort, and we need the whole world to get together on this. So yeah, that bottom line, grassroots, it's all of us. So these are the actual names of the people serving on the Green Bellevue board right now. So I'm Michelle Foss, Don Preister, Tom Rose, thank you, and Tyler Moore, and Steve Thyberg. We do have some student representatives who are in the schools that kind of help us out. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Any board members on Zoom?
Just read.
Okay, thank you. So these are the names of our current board. Okay. So this is a quick snapshot of our 2022 finances. So there's a lot of money, and that is because we received a grant for COVID relief. So that is to help with operations. That has helped us to pay our planning and communications coordinators, to help us with Earth Day, to help us with the Zoom and the emails, and getting through all of those things. So it is also going towards our projects as well, because that is the operations of Green Bellevue. Our treasurer, Jennifer Holscher, is happy to answer any questions if you happen to have more questions about detail, but this is where our income came from this year. So looking ahead to 2023, these are some opportunities that we have to receive more grants to do the work in the community, to support some of the programs that we'll talk about later. I won't get that far ahead, or we'll be done in like 5 minutes. So these are some of the grants that we have applied for in the past and also see as opportunities in the future. And we have a little year in review video that Derek was able to set up. Did it go to sleep?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. Is it because you were sharing the PowerPoint presentation and not sharing the screen?
It was pointing just fine.
Could it be on video input? But that shouldn't have changed.
Michelle, while you're waiting for that to come up, could
Yes.
I ask how much you received in COVID relief?
I don't know the number offhand. Let me see if I can find it.
I just was curious.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a valid question.
It was right at 20,000.
It's just shut off.
Did that
Yep.
back to CB or how did you receive it?
We went direct, I think it was through the state.
Okay. I think that's good.
Saved us from having to pay everything out of our income and other things, so it resulted in that we have more in the treasury now than we expected to, but it's funded us for the whole year, basically. 17,000.
I'd rather see the response for environmental work than
There's power again? That's all I did.
I'm pressing power.
Yeah.
or
This is where we get recorded looking like morons.
Anything we can do to help the environment.
This is not the first time we've had technical
How's the
issues.
recording?
While we're in technical pause, I will
Yes.
mention, if anybody wants
Screen. Share. From current slide. Don't play the video.
Great. So what we can do is we can post that on our YouTube channel. So you can go look at.
It's very good.
So these are the broad categories of initiatives that Green Bellevue has been focusing on: zero waste, caring for plants and wildlife, clean energy, and education and outreach. And to talk about zero waste, we have Don Preister.
And really, this is Ruth, and I don't know where the microphone is. I'll try and talk a little louder. This is really a Ruth Richter initiative and our school initiative. We have gone out to the Offutt Air Force Base personnel picnic for a couple of years before COVID when they were doing it, and then after COVID. And Ruth really spearheaded that to do zero food waste. And we've done composting with the food waste at the high schools at Bellevue West. East and West both want to do it, so we're going to try and get that going again.
And do we still use styrofoam trays?
Yes, we've got some work to do at the schools, but we've also done recycling at our Earth Day each year. And we have worked at computer electronics recycling during the year in between. And we also work with Plastilite and let people know that they can take all their bulky styrofoam from all the packaging material that they get when they're buying things from Amazon or whoever. And that container is available year-round, 24/7.
where's that?
It's up by the airport. If you Google Plastilite, and they have a container right outside their business where they,
Epley.
Epley Air Force Base.
Okay.
Epley Airport, Epley Air Base, Epley Airfield.
And it's
Yeah.
called, what's the name of it?
Plastilite.
I'll text it to you, Nancy.
And so anything else that we have people willing to work on, we can do. The other big one, and I didn't bring a sample, is our orange bag. And at the farmer's market, we tell people about that all summer long, every Saturday. We've introduced a lot of people to putting all their scrap plastic everything from bottle caps and anything under 2 inches in size into that orange bag, tie it up, put it in your regular recycling anywhere in Omaha, Bellevue. All the recycling goes to essentially the same place at First Star Recycling. And then that's broken down and actually made into plastic lumber. And that plastic lumber is a new process that they've unfolded. And so it's actually it's actually in operation and going right now. Yes. They just got it up and online.
And that's a different company? What's the name of the company that does?
First Star Recycling is the same one that's been getting all of our recycling material. And they worked with Dow Chemical, who makes the orange energy bags. But Dow was going to send all those bags to be burned in a generating facility to generate electricity. Dale Google saved all those and just bagged them and palleted them. And instead of going to be burned, he saved all of them, and all those been warehoused, and now they're going into making the plastic lumber now that the operation is up and working.
Is there a place in Bellevue to bring the orange bags, or do you have to?
Right at your home recycling.
Well, I live across, I don't have homes. I take
Over in Council Bluffs. You could give them to anybody in Bellevue or Omaha to go in theirs, or any public recycling in Bellevue or Omaha. And Bellevue doesn't really have much public recycling other than glass.
But not the Council Bluffs Recycling. The Council Bluffs Recycling Center doesn't take the orange bag.
You'd have to ask them that.
Yeah,
I can't speak out.
First Star Fiber did have a drop off for orange bags. I don't know if they still do, but I know when I've had a lot of big styrofoam stuff for different things, I've broken it down into orange bags and I've dropped it off out there. So it's a bit of a drive, but that's the only drop off place for orange bags that I know about.
If you put it into your orange bag, why didn't you curbside recycle it?
Because it was too big. So they make different sizes of orange bags. You can actually get really big orange bags, and that's what I did. Is I purchased a bunch of really big ones to put all that packaging material in there online.
Yeah, locally, you can buy the bags at Family Fair and Baker's. I think after COVID, they had stopped for a while. And you can also get them from Latoya Sanitation. They'll even just deliver them right to you if you're in Sarpy County. In Omaha, they have a different trash collector and a little different system.
So the other new recycling that we are partnering with is the Bellevue Troops 231 BNG. They are doing holiday light recycling. So I believe that starts November 1st and goes through the end of December. We'll share some of their information. They actually did a video for the board that we presented at the meeting Friday to help get the message out about that. They started it last year, did not get the response they were hoping for. So we're going to help them get the word out this year. All right, Tom, do you want to talk about our tree plantings, since most of them, if not all, were with the tree board?
This year or all years?
Well, specifically 2022.
2022. We planted in the spring and we planted yesterday. And planted 12 trees yesterday. And I can't remember what we did this
25.
How many?
25.
25 trees in the spring. And yesterday was at Baldwin Park and Thompson Park. And now I can't remember where we did them in the spring. Can you?
Yeah, we were down at Willow Springs, and that was the long park that winds around.
Right.
That's where we did 25. Yeah.
All right.
And then we also did our Arbor Day tree planting.
Yes.
And we did that at Lewis and Clark Junior High with all the students.
And then next week is Banner
Banner
Park.
Park.
Next week is what?
Banner Park.
And that's mulching, I believe.
What I have to do is ask, because with just 4 of us planting trees yesterday, we were really weak on volunteers. If we're going to do the mulching of the trees at Banner, we really need some more volunteers. Nancy Scott is over in Senegal, so she would normally help us. Other people are doing other things. If we have about 3 more volunteers next week, we'll still do the planting. But nobody has, the 2 people that said they would volunteer yesterday didn't show up. And nobody has signed up that I know of for next week. So if you can do it, let me know. Otherwise, we'll be canceling it on Tuesday at our tree board meeting.
I haven't seen any of those like events or anything on Facebook. Are they gonna get put on Facebook?
It should be.
I've been trying to get them out there.
Including our
Use the
newsletter.
two ones that the other society sends to members. And they get like a little twig.
Oh, no, we're planting 5 and 6 foot trees. We're not doing just the like dry root, bare root, or the saplings.
Yeah, we put a call out for volunteers for both opportunities last week. And then the newsletter too.
And it's scheduled for another Saturday, right?
Next Saturday, it's scheduled at 1 p.m. in Banner Park. And hopefully, we'll plan for it to be a go, but check our website, check Facebook, just in case we don't have any volunteers.
Did that go out on Instagram at all?
It went out on Instagram, Facebook, it's on our website.
Okay.
It's in the newsletter too.
We've been trying to get it out there, so I don't know why people don't see it.
I saw it.
Did you?
I see it now.
There was some kind of a notice that said volunteer opportunity.
Good.
All right.
Tyler?
Yeah, so we've got a number of gardens and habitat areas around the city that we're maintaining, and I mean, just like tree planting, it's always kind of tough to get people because people are doing a lot of things. So we had some areas over at Everett Park that were getting a little weedy. We spread a truckload of mulch about a week or 3 weeks ago. Added another few hundred plants. I know we're trying to do some more stuff at the rain garden at Culver's. I think they're planting a few hundred plants there. Nancy have been planting plants quite a few places, right? The library, have you planted there recently? You could say more on what.
Yeah, the 2 big ones that we worked on, the biggest one was the Whispering Timbers, and we worked on that all summer, once a week. And did quite a few plantings, trees, shrubs, native plants, several truckloads of mulch. I mean, it just was a continuing effort all summer. It's looking pretty good. And then we also worked on Two Springs Elementary and renovated that whole garden, and also put in a couple hundred new native plants there. And then I know Nancy did just a cleanup of the library garden, but didn't want to do too much because the library is kind of big. Sure.
Yeah.
And then this isn't Bellevue, but Nancy has helped a lot, and so it's Green Bellevue. Anytime Nancy's helping, it's Green Bellevue. And we renovated a garden at Council Bluffs at the Creek Top Community Garden. And it's a pollinator garden there. And we worked on that for several months, once a week for 3 or 4 hours a week. And that one is finished now too.
I believe Council Bluffs was just designated a green city.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Council Bluffs was just designated in E-City
Yes.
this week.
Yes, and there is and Amanda can talk more about this, there is a Pollinator Alliance of the Heartland group in Council Bluffs that was really pushed the Bee City USA for Council Bluffs. And Tyler, you had an influence there because you came over when we
Early on.
Early
I
on.
won't claim any of everything you've been doing recently. But...
And that group consists of representatives from Potawatomi County Conservation, the library, what Milkweed Matters were on it. Nancy's active in it, and Amanda is the president of that group. So we are doing pollinator things really throughout the whole region. And one of the visions of that group was that we would have a path, that's the acronym for Pollinator Alliance of the Heartland, that we would have a path of pollinator gardens in the region. And that our website will show where they're all located. And we have designed a pollinator garden sign, 12 inches by 9 inches that we're getting ready to print. And those will be on aluminum, and those will be placed at all the gardens that we're working on here in Bellevue, as well as Council Bluffs. And we're hoping to get into Omaha as well. And then we'll have extra signs. We're having 50 of them printed. And the design is beautiful. We have a graphic artist that's a volunteer with our group. And we're printing 50 and we only need, I think, 8 or 9 for all the various gardens. And there'll be monarch way stations as well. So those 2 signs will be mounted on the same post.
Is she the one who did the library mural?
She's the one that did the library mural and did our Pollinator Alliance of the Heartland logo.
Oh, yes.
What's the minimum size you need for a pollinator garden?
Pardon?
What's the minimum size you need?
Oh, what can do anything?
We know minimum.
There's
One
no
plant.
minimum. Yeah, a pot on your
So
balcony.
it was like 10 by 10 or something like that.
That's, yeah, there's
I
no
would
minimum.
like to put one in my office, and then especially that signage thing. So,
But these signs will be for sale. And then the owner will, whoever's going to purchase it will make a pledge to adhere to best practices. And then if they want to be listed on the path, they will provide their information. And then at some point, we haven't developed our webpage yet, but at some point we'll have this map, all these pollinator gardens. And the Whispering Timbers will be Garden 1 on the path.
Yeah, I think so. The Path Group is doing really good things, and Council Bluffs in particular. I think Green Bellevue should be working more with, and we could maybe make it kind of a, working together. Can I have a Bellevue to Council Bluffs connection of those? Would be kind of a cool way to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all part of the same region, and Omaha is taking notice. And it's interesting because they just did a TV spot on Council Bluffs. KMTV did. And they did on Council Bluffs becoming a Bee City USA. So.
Yep, we also have some people who are interested in Blair as well. So yeah, just keep expanding.
And that's really the goal of PATH, is to go out with the pollinator stuff.
2 other gardens that weren't mentioned. We also funded a garden at St. Thomas More. We funded it last year, but they are maintaining it at the grade school there. I know because I got relatives going to school there. And then we did one other one, the name I don't remember, this year, early in the year.
A friend of mine said that at the St. Gerald's garden, she had been pulling milkweed because she didn't understand the whole purpose of the milkweed. So I could try to find out who at St. Joe's, who oversees the garden and see if someone could give them some information about that.
Sure.
I mean, even just like a pamphlet or something for people to pass the word on because they thought her bad, she's didn't know better.
So these are actually the parks we've been talking about. We also did some pollinator outreach events, and by we, that is with Milkweed Matters. Nancy Cruz is a huge part of our pollinator outreach. So these are some of the things that we have been doing. So, all right.
I don't know, the pop-up garden isn't on there. They do a lot of vegetables, but there's a lot of pollinator plants there too. That Nancy Scott is just there every week, day, and putting a lot of hours in that. And that's down in the old market. That's a wonderful way station for pollinators.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
this
on
will be
Lebanon
even last
actually.
year.
Is that-
They're gonna renovate
Well,
it.
it's right there in the corner next to Chevy's.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice garden. But I think it's worth it to tie all this together and connect the dots. Because there's a real need. From a conservation perspective, but there's people that want to do it. They want to plant gardens at schools and in their yards, and I just think it's a service that can be provided by the nonprofits to help educate people, not only about the gardening part of it, but also about the conservation part of it. And that's what we hoped. That was our vision for Whispering Timbers. When we first started discussing that garden, we wanted it to be a demonstration educational garden. And Tyler even talked about bringing his students there because it is such a diverse site with the, with the native forbs and grasses and then the forest and the wetland all right there at the same site. So we have an interpretive educational sign that right now I'm working on with the vendor, and it'll be like a park sign that has the name Whispering Timbers and some educational stuff about pollinators on it.
And Nancy Cruz and Nancy Scott had lots of activities where they were making seed balls for spreading the milkweed plants that some people don't know to leave alone. And so they then gave those to the bike riders, the bike ride across Iowa brand. And
That's RagRide.
RagRide. What was it also brand this year?
We have not done brand. We just haven't done it. It's a huge effort to make all the seed balls and then to get them to the events and to RagRide. And several days we travel and we follow along with the event. But it's great fun. And this year we took over 10,000 seed balls to RagRide.
Wow, that's impressive.
Pass them in.
Well, and it might make more sense to do it in Iowa because they maintain their roadways better, a little less aggressively than we do here in Nebraska.
Yeah, we were talking about that Wednesday night, in some places in Omaha, that they're not supposed to be mowing, that they are. So who do you talk to about something like that?
Okay, so
Oh, yeah, good one.
county or state.
Yeah, Department of Roads, depending on what it is, some of those may also be private property.
We had it as a goal initiative for a while of trying to get the roadsides along 370 maintained in a more advisable way, but the idea kind of fizzled out because it ends up being a very complicated thing. I'd still like to try working on it, so if anybody's interested in working on that,
They told us they didn't even want us picking up garbage on 370.
yeah.
They'd rather just mow it in shreds.
Sad,
But back
that's
to
the problem. They get one call, somebody says, we got too high weeds, they call them, and we need it mowed. And then they end up getting a second call, but nobody calls saying don't mow. So they just listen to the complaints and that's what they get.
You guys do anything with Chalco? Because I noticed there's a lot of places at Chalco that they mow down the plants, and I'm like, why are you doing that? That's food for the, you know, the wildlife and the birds.
They actually have a native planting at Chalco that is maintained with every method except fire. And some of their areas that they mow, not all of them, I haven't been recently, but some of them that they were mowing aggressively to try to minimize the invasives and try to give some of the natives more of a chance to grow. Chalco also has some regulatory issues that they have to mow certain ways.
Somebody gave us, they said something about flooding or something.
Yeah, it's a flood control. Yeah, and that is what the NRD primarily does, is flood control. So
they are open to the seed ball tossing at Chalco. Last fall we did an Eagle Scout project with a young man from Papillion, and he did the whole thing on conservation, and he gathered all his troop members and we made seed balls, and then we had bike run at Chalco and tossing. It was great fun.
We've explored that idea in the past of having an event or two in the spring that would be like a kill an invasive, replace it with like a, you know, just get a little sapling to put in its place. Because there's a lot of honeysuckle out there and a lot of Russian olive. Somebody has been doing that. I don't know if it's the NRC or somebody, because I know on the far, it would be the southwest end of that area. Somebody has cleared out huge thickets of honeysuckle, and there are new shrubs planted in there.
That is some hard backbreaking work.
Yeah. So somebody's doing that. I'm sure they would welcome help, because I'm sure their time and money limited.
yeah, and what we have run up against is the availability of volunteers. I mean, every project we've talked about that we're actively doing, we don't have enough people to maintain what we're doing. So Tyler and I both were all excited about doing this, but we both have full-time jobs and families, and we don't have the capacity to take these on. So one of our big things is, how do we get volunteers and how do we get people to take on these new projects? We don't want to add things when we can't maintain what we have, and we're struggling hard to maintain what we have. We had a meeting about the rain garden yesterday, and one of our action items from that is to look into a contractor to mitigate natives, because we don't have the time and the people to do it. Stephanie's there right now planting, because we got all these plants, and not great because we don't have rain until hopefully Tuesday, I saw. But like, we need to get this stuff done. We need people to water it, and we need people to weed, basically. We don't have that cohort of people yet to get everything done. So there are scout groups working at Chalco, and that may be one of the entities that did the clearing. So
I could see, like, there's one area in particular where you could tell that they did as much as they could and then they stopped. So I mean, in a year or two, it's gonna probably be back, but it looks like they put in a lot of, you know, human power to cut it all down. And I think it looks like it was spray killed after they cut it, probably too. But they didn't get even like the whole grove of the one area. They got probably 3/4 of it. It was probably multiple days of cutting and, you know, treating. But
what else have we been doing? Next slide. Oh, so we have pictures of some of our gardens.
Two Springs School is on the right.
The two wings are Two Springs, and the middle is Whispering Timbers. So that broke out. The one on the right is Creek Top Pollinator Garden, which is right at the base of the bridge. Whenever I take photos, I always want to get photos with the sculptures on the bridge. And then the one on the left is at Jocelyn Castle. We did a seed ball event there in the summer that was really fun outside on the lawn.
And speaking of Jocelyn Castle, my nephew, Josh Preister, who worked at Fonhill Forest, is now in charge of the grounds. So we have another support person at Jocelyn Castle as another one of those islands for pollinators and for
that garden is fantastic. And they have a volunteer crew of garden ladies that takes care of it. And we have developed a relationship with them over the last several years and speak at their garden clubs. And we've actually spoke at Jocelyn Castle. But the monarchs stop off there during their migration because it's such a great oasis in the city and they have a lot of pollinator.
yeah,
nectar
we're blocked there.
Yeah, so you can pretty much guarantee mid-September if you go to Jocelyn Castle Garden, monarchs, you're gonna pretty much get it. And we go there just to tag them. The right picture is Lewis Central leadership group. And actually, this is the leadership kids, middle school leadership kids from several schools. The Milkweed Matters, we work with the 712 initiative at Council Bluffs, and they do a lot of volunteering, community service projects with the schools over there. And so we get called in to help with that, seed balls and other type events. The one in the middle is the Pollinator Palooza at the Council Bluffs Library. And then on the left is Earth Day Omaha with Nancy's grandkids. There were a lot more outreach events than this.
And as I, and the two Nancy's down in the right corner there. This one at the farmer's market, we have been able to give out milkweed plants. Nancy brings 5 flats, so about 150 milkweed. And then Marianne puts plants together and I have a half a flat of those. So every week we've been giving all of them out. We've run out every single week and people are planting within their own yards these pollinator plants. So we've helped educate and spread the word and get the milkweed, which is the only plant the monarch butterfly can lay its eggs on and then hatch into the larvae and then form the chrysalis, and the chrysalis turns into the monarch. So helping to educate people there, we have been able to give out this season 2,000 more milkweed plants and 1,000 other nectar plants, plus education materials, bringing people to our website and getting them more information about the other resources that we do. And the Orange Energy Bag, as I mentioned earlier, is a big part of that, helping people to understand there is more that they can recycle. And that too is good for the pollinators because all that plastic isn't ending up in the environment, breaking down and then getting into the water and the soil. So the more plastic we keep out of the environment, the better it is. And just helping people to connect with food coming from the ground and not a store in a package with a label. That real food doesn't have a label. You don't have to worry about reading labels and what you're putting in your body if you eat real food. So that's also part of our farmers market efforts during the summer and each year.
Could I give a shout out to Bellevue University? They have very graciously allowed Nancy Scott and I to use the greenhouse.
Yes.
They have given us a table. Each of us has a table in the state-of-the-art greenhouse here. And we have grown the milkweed plants. We start in about February and it's been great. Nancy gives all of hers away And all the ones that I grow go to, as a fundraiser for Milkweed Matters. I have a plant sale in the spring. So we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think we need to do better about that for fall plantings too, because you didn't start anything new up for the summer in the summer for fall, did you?
No.
And really, the greenhouse is so empty through the summer into the fall. And it doesn't get going really until.
Well, see, in the summer, you can grow things outside.
Right.
So there's no need.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Greenhouse.
Yeah.
And it's usually hot.
Very hot.
Yeah, it's very hot. But we really would love to do it again this next year. And we've been collecting seed like crazy to, because now's the time.
Yeah.
The milkweed and all the different native seeds. So I just wanted to mention that. We're really grateful.
Good to have the shout out, and we're using Bellevue University right now. So we've been,
absolutely,
that's one of our community connections. It isn't listed in this slide, but Bellevue University has been a very good partner for a long time. We've also partnered with Bellevue Medical Center. We, for a couple, maybe 4 years, had our meetings there when we were having meetings. So Bellevue University is another good one. On the left here, we've got the Bellevue Native Plant Society, and that's Stephanie Barrelman, who we talked about earlier, doing the one rain garden. So we have those connections like the Bellevue Tree Board, and that nice tree was drawn by Nancy Scott. And Nancy also serves along with Tom and I and a few other Bellevue people on the Bellevue Tree Board, where we're planting trees and making some good connections there too. And Milkweed Matters, maybe Nancy, you might mention a little bit about that.
Well, we're a small 501c nonprofit. We've been in existence since 2014, and our mission is to help restore pollinator habitat along roadsides and in community gardens. And so the roadside efforts is all the outreach for the seed balls in the schools, and to me, that's the most powerful part, is the school outreach. Just this week, I went to Bellevue Catholic School, and it was the first time I'd been there. St. Mary's Catholic School. Oh my goodness, just so wonderful with the children. And they get a chance to learn, and it's empowering because they're helping endangered species just by rolling a seed ball. It's just great. It's just great. So we're proud to be a partner. We're very proud, and we look forward to doing more with you all.
And you have been one of our stellar partners. The last one on there, we go back just briefly. The last one is right next to our rain garden in Twin Creek. And because we want to get people out in nature more too, we were able to do some grant and arm twisting that I did to pay for this $80,000 bike share station. So people can get electric bikes, electric assist bikes, right there on the trailhead right by Culver's on 36th Street. And we're hoping the Bellevue University will put one in soon. I've been working on them for about 4 years now. So we hope to get a rental station here too. But this gets people back out in nature, and particularly some of the people more my age who need a little assist on the bicycles. So it's another partnership between the NRD, City of Bellevue, Twin Creek, and other groups.
If you have a Bellevue library card, you probably know this, but you can go and get a free ride on the cycle. They give you like a pass and you use that at the station. So I did that because to me it's kind of unnatural to drive someplace to ride a bicycle. But I did that for just checking it out. And it was a lot of fun using down that trail and then ride down with completely person powered. And so that's really neat because I'm an example of someone who probably wouldn't have used it if it wasn't the Bellevue Public Library saying, hey, give it a try on this.
Great. And at Bellevue Public Library, you can also check out a pass to go to Fontenelle Forest.
And I
Yeah,
believe
first-
they're expanding, so we're not the only organization doing that. The zoo and Lords and Gardens are both implementing library pass programs as well.
I think Council Bluffs is as well, the Council Bluffs Library.
And I don't know if we have anybody here that has an influence on it, but I definitely commented to people when I read those 3-page, things when you sign, you're going to use your energy cycle or your electric bike properly. Nowhere does it even encourage someone to put on a helmet, much less say you should be, wearing a helmet. So, I don't know, I should probably reach out to Golden Peddlers and see if they can have any. It probably is a corporate thing for the group in Omaha that this is a branch of, but still, I'd love to see some educational material about that.
Sure. We also work with Clean Energy, and the slide on the left, we were going to do a larger electric vehicle program, but things are still kind of in flux even after COVID. So we did several individual smaller ones. This one I did at my house. And so I had a group of students there, giving them some information on the electric vehicle and charging and where you can charge and some experience. Then on the right-hand side, in the back, it's not real clear to see, but those are solar panels on my backyard. It's a south-facing slope, so it turned out to be perfect, even better than putting solar panels on my roof. So I have them in my backyard, and as a host of the National Solar Tour, I've been on that for several years now, and people can come out, see my system, see the connection to an electric vehicle, see the whole contained process of not only net zero carbon output, but for every 3 kilowatts of energy that I generate from my solar panels, I only use 2. So I'm net positive on average, every month of the year. And my house is all electric. I got rid of natural gas. I heat, I cool, everything is electric. And I'm not having even the $30 charge, administrative charge on my bill is almost totally paid from the kilowatts I sell back to OPPD. So it's possible, and my system has been in place only for 5 years now. And the $21,000 cost of the whole system is paid back up to $18,000 just in those first 5 years. From what I didn't pay in natural gas, what I don't pay in car gas, what I don't pay in electric fees, and with the rebates, and you still get a 26% of your investment tax credit right now. So over a fourth of your investment in solar panels, you can get back right off the top. So it's a good investment, and that's part of what we do in helping with clean energy.
Is that 26% right now with the new bill that was put in place?
Yes.
Okay.
The new federal legislation funded, it was 30% when I did mine, and then it slowly was going down, but it's been fully refunded now at currently 26%. So 1/4 of the cost of installing a solar installation, Uncle Sam will help you with.
All right, Steve.
Okay. So Earth Day, because of COVID, shifted to Earth Month. And lots can happen when you do it over a month. We, again, as last year, joined with Earth Day Omaha to have the passport, which allowed us to connect all our participants with many, many activities. Also, it's a very large effort on the part of the board. Every board member was involved in it, as well as many volunteers. Let's see. So you can tell by the discussion on plants that that's one of our big rocks. That's one of the big things that we're into is gardens, plants, and pollinators. So gardening was one of our big things. Trees are big. We did plantings, mulchings, and prunings. So those are two of our big rocks. We did had milkweed seed ball making. We had speakers. There were 9 different presentations, which you can still see on our YouTube channel, which most of them. Go to YouTube and put in Green Bellevue, and it should see a big dot like that. And you click on it, and you're there. You'll see all of them. Well, almost all of them. Let's see. We did recycling collections, including foam and electronics, and this year we added composting, denim, and markers recycling. We had attended Earth Day Omaha, where we had 8 tables show off Sarpy County efforts and did green story time for the kids. We did we had an Earth Day art show featuring Earth Day art from Bellevue students who had which was displayed at the Lead Activity Center. We got local governments to make Earth Day proclamations. Carrie worked on, and we presented Earth Day or Environment Champion Awards, and the month concluded with our annual Green Bellevue picnic. It was a big deal. It was an awesome month. I get to talk in a few minutes about where we go from here. So that was my birthday.
Steve did a great job organizing, overseeing, prodding us to get things in, and it was a wonderful month. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
As a vendor, you did a good job of, just trying to figure out what to do with passport and events, and very responsive.
Oh,
I mean, kind of.
Very good. Yeah.
So these are the environment champions from this last year. So you can see we've got adult volunteers, student volunteers, and we had several organizations this year as well. And these are 2022 sponsors.
Carrie, would you want to say anything about the proclamations? We kind of skipped through that. Carrie did a great job going to the county, to the cities, to the meetings, and the students went, and the students did the presentations, but got a little education at those various government bodies just to get all those proclamations, including Ralston and Omaha. So we had even more this year than we normally have in the past.
Good job, Carrie.
And I'm going to add that hopefully it will be a little bit easier template to follow next year, with a little bit better, easier to follow organization about what happens when. For me, I think it was kind of well, it's educational, because I've been to 1 or 2 WC council meetings and never attended another council meeting, so it's interesting to see the groups meet and the like. But it was helpful for me when somebody said, then the minutes get put on the public notice, and that lets the public know. Because I found myself wondering, well, gosh, if somebody wasn't sitting in the city council meeting, how is this promoting their thing? And so, like, knowing that there's a follow-up beyond that, that lets people know that those proclamations happen, was helpful to me, because, there's probably been 5 proclamations from the city of Bellevue this year about something else that I never heard about, because I haven't go on those websites and look at that. So it's good to know this spreads out a little bit.
And those meetings are filmed. And I know Bellevue is live. The others are live and shown later. Okay. And they're shown on public television. So every one of those presentations got a wide viewership after the meeting and even during the meeting from people around the community. And senior citizens especially watch Channel 17 and Channel 18, and they watch all of these presentations.
And then you get the feeling that the mayors, I get, it's probably like a bright spot in their day when they're not dealing with a problem, they're just making a happy proclamation. So that's good too.
Back to me. Okay, so hey, Earth Day is a cool event. I don't know how many, probably everybody went to lots of Earth Days before COVID hit. They were all done as a fair or an expo. And so it all happened in one day, actually, often in just a matter of a few hours. And lots of stuff happens, but it's all, that's the old model. Well, COVID got us into a brand new model with the passport. And Amanda had a lot of passport. And so a lot of things have shifted. We're not sure what it's going to look like in the future. We don't know. Board started brainstorming different possibilities. And I don't know how many of you might want to put your input in for different models or different ideas that we would like included in the future Earth Days. How many would want to be surveyed? Basically get for your input about future Earth Days. Sure. Well, I saw several hands go up. Okay, so maybe we'll get some feedback there. We'll send it out and we'll let people choose if they want to give feedback. As far as that goes, we're going to do a little bit of brainstorming coming up on the Friday the 21st. So that's like not even 2 weeks away. If you're available from 11 to 12. So we're scheduled to do some brainstorming on what Earth Day might look like. So I guess
on Zoom, isn't it?
Yeah, is it Zoom or is it?
That's Zoom. Yes. So are we going to send that out to more broadly than just the board? Board got the initial one. Send that out more broadly than the board.
Yeah, it can go to the whole group.
Okay.
So we're intending to invite tons of people to that.
You know, tens don't necessarily show up, but if they did, but
so it's more of a public planning deal instead of just a board.
What was you're the one that set it up, right? What's your intention?
Yeah, we extend it out. Again, it's part of the outreach and letting people know what we're doing. We really don't get a lot of people, but every year we've gotten one more person coming forward who takes on another role, and that has lightened the load. So it's part of the promotion of the event, but promotion of getting some volunteers.
Mine again too. So, hey, education, we have monthly programs. The second Sunday of most months. We had been doing them all by Zoom during COVID, and we've broken out of that. So we're looking at potentially doing a hybrid. In fact, the last two were that way. In the last year, some of the ones we had were coming together without falling apart. That's a holding space for climate grief. That's cool, and we need that. The ugly truth of fast fashion, conserving the land for future generations, habitats from floodplain to prairie and in between. That was Michelle's. And then we had virtual garden tour by the chief and lazy gardener, and that's Scott Bartlett over there. Okay, thank you, Scott. And then the next two, August and September, we're back in person, or at least we hope to be as much as possible. August, we had the native pollinator garden and at Whispering and adjacent woodland tour at Whispering Springs, Whispering Timbers pollinator garden, and Nancy and Tyler both had a lot to do with that. They were the speakers. They gave us the tour. It was really cool. And then in September, we did playing around with green homemade play equipment, and that's good. And the video, if you ever see the video, don't laugh too much at some of us oldies that were playing around with the equipment. So anyway, hopefully they're going to be in person, but we'll see how that works, and they'll be on YouTube. So check out the YouTube channel. And the next slide is me2, because that's the November program. And it's going to be Omaha Permaculture. It's an environmental nonprofit organization that maintains unwanted vacant land to elevate the property's utility value for the surrounding neighborhood by creating healthy ecosystems through urban agriculture-related economic development. And that presentation with a virtual tour will be by its founder, Gus Van Roen. And it looks to be in person, but somewhere in Bellevue, it'll come down to that. But we got to figure out a place. So I can't tell you that, but I do know it's going to be Sunday, November 13th at 1:30. And the plan is by Zoom as well. So hey, the next one's mine too. It's upcoming programs. We have Sustainability Leadership Institute. That's Rethinking Leadership for a Sustainable Future. We'll be practicing skills building with Mary Burdick, PhD. We will learn about and use practice exercises to deal with interpersonal challenges that participants may experience regarding sustainability issues. I can't explain all of that, but I'm sure that we'll have a bit more skills in dealing with other people. And my last one is, because we'll have more to talk about. Saving Grace Perishable Food Rescue will be one of our talks, feeding hungry bellies instead of landfill. Saving Grace has collected between 400 and 500 tons of food each year since they started in 2013. They supply food to over 3 dozen nonprofits. Dates and more info on those last two yet to be determined. And hey, are there any other topics that we should make sure we hit this next year?
We're going to have to come back to that because we've got a few business items that we have to get done in the next 10 minutes. So we'll come back to planning. So these are some of the initiatives that we're thinking of. Again, we do want input. We're just going to have to come back to it after we do the business stuff. All right, so we have struggled to implement a membership structure, but this is what the membership structure will look like. And we will announce this in 2023 because we have not actually implemented this yet. This is something that the board has been working on as an organizational sustainability issue. Maybe. And this is our definition of membership. These things can be found on our website. All right, so we have 3 board members who are terming out or rolling off of the board this year, Tom and Don. Also Sarah Gahn, who is our current secretary. And a huge, huge thank you to all 3 of them. Tom and Don both started Green Bellevue, so they have been here since the very beginning. So these are our 2022 student board representatives. They are all coming back. And then we have a new appointee from Bellevue West, Jackie Petro.
Harley will be at UNL or UNL.
So we have the wrong school, right person.
Well, no, Jackie will be at West.
Right, but for one of the other ones.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we have Margaret, Annabelle, Steve, Nancy, and Jillian, who are all up for re-election and have said that they will serve again. We have 2 new board member nominees. I am stepping back both as president and the Fontenelle Forest representative. However, I will stay on the board to finish out my term. So Shauna Gorman, who is one of our restoration biologists, will be nominated for Fontenelle Forest. And then Karen Coote-Smith, who is joining us, has also been nominated. Before we move any further, is there anybody else here who would like to serve on the Green Bellevue board?
Scott?
I
Michelle?
don't know what I'm doing, but
None of us.
I'm hearing a voice.
That's rude.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
I would like to return to the board.
Yeah. Excellent.
I mean, I told you I could help whenever. That means being on the board, I don't have a problem with that.
All right, so board obligations are to attend the monthly board meetings. Right now they are set for Fridays from 11 to 12:30. It's to attend as many of our membership meetings as you can. and also to help support our events.
For the board meetings, I can't.
In school then.
Yeah.
There's no way I can do that.
But at some point, board meetings were either after school hours or weekends.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So that is actually something we are planning on discussing in our upcoming board planning meeting in November, is board meetings, time, location, that kind of thing. And how organizational sustainability for continuing bringing board members in.
Our board meetings are recorded, so you could participate by looking later and voting for initiatives or whatever.
We still have to have quorum at meetings.
You still have to have what?
We still have to have enough board members to vote on things at the meetings.
At the meeting.
Yeah. So we have Shauna, Karen, Ruth, Scott. Okay. However, we will tap you next time after we have changed board meetings so that they're more attendable.
Is there anybody else out in Zoom land?
Ruth, thank you for speaking up, even though it startled me.
How's it coming across to you, Ruth? Are you hearing and seeing okay?
Yeah, for the most part, I was on my phone for a little while, but I now at my desk and I can see a lot better. But yeah, it's coming across well.
Wonderful.
All right, so first we are going to vote on the re-election slate. I probably should get a motion for that.
I move to approve the slate on the slide with the inclusion of Ruth Richter.
Second.
Okay. Everybody in this room is eligible to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so our slate passes. So your new board members include Shauna Gorman, Karen Cook-Smith, and Ruth Richter. And we have re-elected the 5 members up there. So thank you and congratulations. New board members, I will need to make sure I have a valid email today. I sent out a doodle poll earlier today of when to have our planning meeting. So I would like to include you on that. All right. Okay, now we can get back to the fun brainstorming part. So are there any other questions or concerns before we move into that? Yes.
Is this slide set that is about Earth Day, is that something that people can go out and look at? The reason I'm asking is because when we listed the environmental champions, I did not see the 2 grade schools listed.
Oh no.
That's true, they weren't.
They weren't, but they're on the list on the website. Okay. So that was an oversight.
Okay. Yeah, as long as, you know, I think they from one of the schools, they go on the website, they would see them, they would see them missing.
You're right. So that was Birch Crest and LeMay, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we need to
Dr. Phil work to get, I think you nominated both.
add Birch Crest and LeMay Elementary to the environmental champion slides.
Yes.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
I was just curious about the bioretention garden in Mason Park. Is that happening? There's a big banner up there that says that it's coming in 2022. So
I don't know anything about that.
Ruth, it is supposed to be coming, but because Senator Carol Blood, who's organized it and got the funds for it, is also in the middle of a campaign. And so between COVID hitting and putting it back, and now this year her running for the governorship and having to be everywhere in the state all at once, the sign is there. Gus Von Rowan is still planning to do it. I don't know if they're going to get started yet this fall though.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just knew that was in the works a few years ago. And so then I saw the banner and I just wondered if it was So it sounds like it is coming, but just maybe not as quick as they wanted.
Like many things, it's never as good as we want.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Steve, both brainstorming things are yours, so you figure out which one you want to talk about first, knowing we only have about 10 minutes. Carrie, did you have another question?
Yeah, just a quick comment in case people didn't go up, because we were talking about tree plantings. My husband and I were out on the Iowa Council Bluff Trails, sort of a side trail that we don't normally frequent, and they have a little section that they're calling like arbor something, and they planted about 30 or 40 trees and for like fall arbor tour or something like that. I think it's going to have like probably some really nice fall colors when you take that little piece of it. So just to add to the knowledge of tree planting things that are happening in the area.
All right, Steve.
Number two things I needed to put on, but there might be something else I was forgetting. But one I did want to ask about is any other topics anyone wants to propose for presentations for our programs, our monthly programs. And it's great if you have them now, but if something pops in your head, oh, Scott.
I do actually. One of the biggest pushback things I'm getting from the kids, parents, and everything is the fact of how overwhelming this is to do. You have to design it, you have to have your soil, you have to know the water amounts you need to know the different types of plants, you need to know what type of pollinators you're looking for, and it's so much so that I'm just not even deal with this. So if we could do like a step-by-step process that goes through everything we need to do to actually do the work and get a garden in the ground, I think that would help the community immensely. And we're working on that right now to try to do that ourselves. But I think that's one of the biggest things I see is people are just ridiculously overwhelmed. Pollinator, like, well, yeah, where do I start? What do I do? What are the resources? So
I have a contact that has a presentation made up already regarding that. So I could ask her if she'd be interested in presenting.
Okay.
Because she'll do it herself. I'm trying to get the parents in the building. As all of you know, Central has an amazing PTA. South has a very tentative parental group. They don't like the causeways or whatever, and there's a lot of fear there and a lot of unnecessary stuff going on there. We'd like to bring the community in as much as possible. And I planted 2 flats of all those flowers last spring. Every single one of them got swollen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but they got to use that.
So when I came in, I had holes in all the planters. And all. So there's obviously an interest. So you have to see the positive. There's obviously an interest. And if we can do that and incorporate those people that are, whatever, I think that's a positive step forward. So
it could be a whole new outlet for Nancy's plans. You just take them there.
Well, they did. It came to South. To give the Nebraska bunch, Bob Hipkins, yeah, he came to South and I think they got rid of most of them. I know there's people walking by on 25th Street or 24th Street. We had a couple of kids standing on the corner on the other side of the thing advertising it. Quite a few people stopped. But again, there's the language barrier, there's the fear barrier. And I'll be honest, I am completely overwhelmed for that fall. It is nice. I spent all summer taking those honeysuckle out. I'm talk about some digging. That was 4 foot deep to get those out. So I cleared the entire fence. I got all the mulberry trees out, and now I've got the sidewalk, all the bricks and everything replaced. So all of that is done, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And it is a mess.
Is that garden behind over on 23rd Street?
Yeah, right there to the south.
Yeah.
So I got all the bricks done. I got all the fence line, the big trees cut out and everything. But now we're trying to whatever. And I talked to you about the inside areas. Ben Hanna has jumped on board with this. So we have redone all the glass cases, all of them. So we're trying to do diversity in science. I've got a display up for diversity in science. I've got a display up for the importance of pollinators. We're working on genetic stuff. So kids are starting to look We found out yesterday that they didn't want to join because they thought it cost money. So that's another thing, like, no, it's free, it's part of school.
So Steve, maybe we do destination programs. Sounds like maybe we do one at South Omaha, maybe we do one at the Rain Garden. Maybe we do a hike at Chalco. Maybe we incorporate some of these projects into programs, and maybe that's a volunteer recruiting opportunity as well.
I will say, was that last spring when we went? I was pretty impressed because you had, it's like a dozen students out there.
I had 27.
We've
green and 18 and
I've never had 12 college students help at one day on anything.
Well,
So
a lot of them have to do community service, and I'm going to make one of them a summative. So if you've done really crappy on a summative, you have to come out and tell me what you learned in the pollinator garden. We'll discuss this on a 2-page paper. And
That's
well, it's
incredible.
biology.
I love that.
It's biology. And I've got 2 knuckleheads that are causing all sorts of trouble. I'm like, yes, this is not going to do after school suspension with the cafeteria. You're going to do it with me outside. And you told your parents said so.
and really, like last spring, I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, I was expecting a lot worse. I think it'd be a cool site to do a site visit.
We can come and visit and give you some advice.
I would greatly appreciate it because it's going to be overwhelming, and I'd like to break it into sections. For some reason, the swamp milkweed did really well along the fence line. The little short ones, I can't remember what those were. But yeah, that one not so well. Everything was choked it out. Grass choked it out, and I didn't work this summer because they did not pay me for being a sub in the fall or in the spring until August. So I did not go. Yeah, so I went and cleaned the fence line, but I didn't do much of anything else. From April 2nd until the end of the year. But they're caught up now.
The first step you can do to keep it from getting overgrown again is to mulch it heavily with wood chips. And if you can find a tree trimmer that can, or whatever school district you're in, to have them bring the mulch, that's the first step. Get that mulch down.
A big part of it is not just doing a garden. It has to be something that the entire school can use. So I need to be able to incorporate the art department. I need to be able to do some cultural appropriation stuff, you know, not appropriation, but culturally appropriate things. So we're working with the fashion department on plants that are used for dyes. So I'd like to have a garden for that. Yeah.
There's a lot.
We're in the planning stage. So if you guys have suggestions, let me know. But I've got 23 kids sitting around doing this right now.
We planted a pollinator garden at Tri-Center High School in Neola in the morning.
They'll do the work.
We had 20 high school kids out there, and it was amazing how quick it went. Over 250 plants in the ground, mulching as well. School had a big trailer full of mulch. The kids spread it all. They edged the garden. And we planted the whole thing in about 3 hours, and I couldn't believe it.
And I can't tell you how many conversations took place after you left. The fact that, oh, the university of the yeah. I mean, they're just not talked to about extra education.
Yeah,
I opposed to moving this conversation outside so that they can lock the doors.
Yeah,
I think it's really valuable to have working groups.
I agree. I just want to be cognizant of Bellevue University letting us use their space. I don't want to stop the conversation. I just want to move us out into the beautiful warm sunshine.
I really want to be a part of this, but I cannot say that I can be available on Friday.
That's okay. We can work with you, and you can work with us without that. There are other people in this room, Nancy Cruz and Amanda specifically, who do a lot with Green Bellevue and are not on the board. So yeah, we can get this going.
Do we have a hard deadline for officer positions?
So we vote on the officer positions of the board in the November meeting.
Okay, so that is the,
we had,
what if nobody's
English?
Technically, if nobody steps up, we are no longer an organization. We have to have those